waiting to reshare the link.
Yep, we are active on Facebook. YouTube link should be there. So I guess go to your home YouTube. That seemed to work last time.
Yep, I see it. And I am muted. Episode 25.
I'm more dressed up for these recent shows than work.
Well, if you think about it, this show has given us reason to.
I know, right?
Clothes.
I'm so happy that we've cycled so many clothes because of this.
Okay. I am resharing.
Now I'm like, oh, am I blurry or are my glasses dirty?
It could be your glasses because the feed looks clear. You want here?
No, it's okay. I got one. There's a glare that's, I guess, obstructing my view.
I could move the light a bit.
It's all right. It's all right.
So while we're waiting, we are wearing condiments.
There's like ketchup, hot sauce, mustard. I think there was mayo, right? Or there's no mayo. No, there's no mayo.
This is mustard.
Yeah, that's mustard.
Then,
but then there's like a different. Is that a honey?
Yeah, I think it's.
No, there's a QP mayo. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there's marmalade or marmite or something.
What is that? Marmalade jam. So spicy. Chili jam. I saw it on an Uncle Roger thing.
Pico, nice to have you back with us. And yes,
Hello.
we are wearing our condiment shirt.
The condiment shirt drives me nuts because it's white with print. And then it's not obvious here. But then some of the prints, here there's a pocket. I'll use Toby as an example. There's a pocket. And then the material's kind of not super thick. At least on video you can't see. But then then you can see like a shadow of a condiment. I got crazy and thought, oh my gosh,
Stains.
did we spill wine because we wore this to a bar night? Like, oh my god, is there wine on your shirt? And I was already like mapping out of my head, I'm gonna get the wine out of the shirt, and then no, it was just the print on the other side. That's all it was.
So yeah, we're not sure who else is on. We can't see who it is until you comment.
Yeah, let us know. You just keep clicking things.
Yeah, I'm trying to get rid of this. It's not
click
going.
the chat icon again.
Nothing there.
There, and then you see people's. So I don't know. Inadvertently, Mondays are now almost always a board game topic. So that's
hey Kenny.
So yeah, Mondays we've been talking about different board games on Mondays. This does not stop us from talking about board games on other days, but definitely Mondays are board game days, which I guess works out for like a weekend of gaming despite quarantine.
We have to really decide on a best background.
We've gone around the dining table.
There are still a few options.
We haven't tried over there.
But admittedly, a large part of what determines it sometimes is just how much time we have.
Convenience. This is the easiest for us because then there's a lot more space behind us.
And it's not too different from our usual setup when we're working.
Yeah. And then if we shift all the way over here, which we've done for like a few episodes, it was okay, but it was like a little tighter. Didn't work as well.
But it's 9 o'clock, so I guess we should begin.
And today I'm gonna try to super watch out for the 913 blip. So let's see how that goes, right? Okay. So but yeah.
Timer.
Oh wait. Toby,
let's start the timer.
I just scrolled the intro. Okay.
This is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, our little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
This is completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us as we talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for your continued support. Thank you for liking our videos, and thank you for sharing the link around. But today we shall spend 30 minutes talking about
Suburbia. Okay,
not
I didn't know how
Suburbia
to follow
in
that.
general.
Yeah, not the residential structure, but
The board game.
the board game. And
Yes.
wow, I mean we okay.
So Suburbia is by Ted Alspach, if is that how you say his name?
Probably not.
It was a game released in 2012. It is a game that combines various systems, but overall, it's about different players creating their own boroughs. And by creating the boroughs, you try to increase the reputation
Hence the title of this episode.
and eventually the points.
Yeah.
It's a game system that uses various mechanics such as drafting, hexagon grid, set collection, tile placement, and it actually has a Mensa award.
Yes, among many others.
Mhm.
And I don't know, how did we first get into this game? I'm trying to remember. I know I had seen friends playing it a number of times before we got our own copy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just know that I definitely wanted to play it because it looks like SimCity, and who doesn't want to play a SimCity board game? I love SimCity. And it turned out to be way more than that, a lot more fascinating, and we haven't really gone back ever since.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what else?
Yeah, this is what it looks like.
This is our beat up box. Look
Yes.
at that. That is an oil stain right there.
With all the breaks and cracks. This is a well-loved copy.
Which
Not
contains
pre-loved because we don't really.
it contains most of our expansions, which we were able to cram in there. And
Mhm.
as far as like the base game goes, there is not a lot of love in the box.
Hey,
I mean,
David.
it was just sheets of tiles. There's no lining. There's no dividers. It's just a box.
It was one of the games released at that early era
Hmm.
when board games didn't really care about how they were kept inside.
Yeah, it was just like let's just put everything fit in the box, and then we're good. We'll call it a day.
But it was one of the heavy games in the sense of actual weight during the early years of board gamings. Compared to other games that didn't have as much, this one had so many tiles of 3 different sets.
Yeah, and then it's just a lot of sheets of cardboard that eat up your
The board
space.
for the scoring, and then every player had their own board, and then they had their collection of little wooden pieces from tracking your income to tracking your reputation to tracking your population, plus all those little cardboard tokens to track when you invest in something. And it was one of those games that you really get scared you lose something.
Yeah, but a lot of people do like hexagons. There is a particular subset of gaming friends we know that love it particularly because of hexagons, but beyond that is the elegance of the system in itself. I mean, overall, your victory points, and we have a lot of victory point games, is in this case is determined by population.
Mm-hmm.
But the population mechanic is an amazing balancing act of good and bad. Naturally, you want more people to
Yes.
move into your borough, which is tracked by increasing population points.
Your reputation.
No, reputation attracts people,
Yes.
but your actual score is your population.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, yes, we're disagreeing. So, but I guess what is frustrating and brilliant is that as your borough increases in population, it hits certain red markers on the score track, which represent sort of milestones where you've graduated to the next largest size. Therefore, the burden of carrying all these people also increases, and
Yes.
this weird little balancing act means you can't just run a super points game and cram yourself with population really quickly, because it will bite you in the butt, and it will eat up your income most likely because it will need to penalize in other ways.
That approach to balance is also what's the word? There isn't just one way to do it. You can do it by increasing your income really high,
Yes.
or you could do the non-income method, which some players do, wherein they find those perfect combinations that moves actually earn you money.
Yes.
And then it made use of goals. Everything from the public goals to the secret goals.
Yeah, and I think this really helped with the replay factor because then no two games of Suburbia are the
Mhm.
same. Thinking about other games we talked about with like a goal mechanic, when you think about the awards and milestones on terraforming Mars, the only way to get new goals was to get another board
Yes.
entirely to change what you're aspiring for.
Mhm.
By in Suburbia, they are a separate set of tiles, circular discs that you can keep just rotating, and that really helps things along. The number of goals that there are based on the number of players that are in the game,
Mhm.
and thus no two games are exactly the same. Plus the bonus of the fact that everybody gets a secret goal that nobody knows about.
Yes.
And there's like half the time you're probably not going to hit your own secret goal because it's complicated to juggle everything.
And it's tricky how your secret goal, despite players not knowing about it, players who are familiar with the game sort of plan
You telegraph your moves
because
based
they
on
kind
what
of
you're
realize
doing.
what you're doing.
Like, hey, you're gathering a lot of green.
Lots of civic. I think I know what you got.
Yeah. Oh, and you're lots of civic that are next to each other. Are you aiming for a contiguous gray?
Yes.
You know, so this mechanic, it still generates some surprises. We have cases where like we thought that they were aiming for a certain thing,
Mhm.
and then they're like, no, it just kind of happened that way. That my goal was actually most industrial, but I just built commercial because I
Yes.
needed money.
The game also has
thanks.
this amazing mathematical framework. Because
Oh,
as you play
yes.
the game, you will notice that there will be so many instances that you want something, but you need just one more dollar to get it. And it's amazing how
I
that
love
keeps
and
happening.
hate how that happens, and we've seen that in a few other games, or like even like to some degree. I don't know why the first thing I thought that was like Lords of Waterdeep,
Mhm.
where there are a lot of quests that you'll find that you're always like a turn away, and
Yes.
it's struggling to gather the right resources. Suburbia, I don't know, has it down to a science that there is. We have yet to have a player not experience the pain of I am $1 or $2 or thousands of dollars short of getting my goal.
And to even make it worse for you, the way the market works is tiles that aren't purchased move down the line and become cheaper.
Yes.
So you might find yourself thinking, I don't have the money I need to buy it, so I can wait one turn. But then someone might buy it, or worse, the others might buy the more expensive tiles, and it doesn't move.
Or they buy off the board for like residential tiles or borders and then destroy that tile
Yes.
knowing that you need it.
Because
So-
the market will always eventually move when a tile is removed in some
And
way
I
or
always
another.
like that little like that is always a fun mechanic to me where the game includes a sort of timer
Mhm.
to track the progression. And Suburbia is a great example of how the number of tiles in the stack is essentially how long your game is going to be.
Mhm.
And thus, every turn, a tile must move,
But
whether it is purchased or not.
but it also uses this amazing little mechanic wherein the end of the game tile is still randomly mixed in the
Ah.
last stack.
That it's
So even
It's
if
a
you
thing.
know that you're in the last stack, you're still not absolutely certain when that last turn will be.
yeah, we have had games that feel like they prematurely ended because that darn last round marker appeared
And
really
that made all
early
the
in stack.
difference. Because
Yeah.
if it didn't appear at that point, the other player would have won with so much points at that turn.
It becomes this mad scramble to score everything. So that's a lot of what we love about Suburbia. Now, Suburbia's had a number of expansions, and like what we did with Terraforming Mars. We're gonna go over the different expansions and sort of highlight.
Yeah. Officially,
pros
there
and
have
cons.
been 4 in terms of how it's listed on Board Game Geek.
Oh, okay.
But in terms of individual game expansions we've experienced, there have been 2. Because the 2
Yes.
others I've experienced through the app.
yeah,
And you haven't yet.
And well, to some degree, we have because of the collector's edition.
Yes. And that's the only time when all of it became all available in one go.
It became physical.
Yes.
Okay.
So let's start with 5 stars.
No.
Oh, the earlier one. Let's start with Spiel.
No.
What
Suburbia Inc.
No. Is Ink earlier? Ink is 2013.
Yes, and then Suburbia 5 stars 2015.
Spiel is 2012.
Yeah, but we didn't really play a lot of Spiel. I'm just talking about the physical releases.
Okay. Then let's go to Ink.
What is this argument? Okay, so we'll first talk about Suburbia Inc. And Suburbia Inc. is more Suburbia everywhere. It adds more tiles. It adds a few new types of tiles because you in the base set you have yellow for industrial, green for residential, blue for commercial, gray for civic, and then they added sort of the black tile,
Yes.
which doesn't count as the basic types, and borders.
Yes.
Borders are frustrating because they literally create edges to your game. Because normally, as long as you can connect out, then your tiles will keep sprawling out, and you just need table space. With the rule that you just can't go beyond the table, in terms of your tile set. Suburbia Inc. The borders in Suburbia Inc. If placed well, shouldn't be too much of a problem. If placed badly, can lock you up. But also count as a super lake when you flip them over because again they're more difficult to place, but they earn you twice the money per adjacent tile. So I thought borders are cute. We still don't see a lot of border use, I think, across our games. The other things that Suburbia Inc. really added were just more interesting tile types.
And the bonuses and challenges.
Yes, the bonus and challenge system. And at 9:12, I'm gonna leave this up, to see what goes up.
So
Maybe
the bonus
it'll
and
ward it away.
challenge system are special tiles of their own set. One of each is taken at the setup of the game. Since the tiles are set up as the A tiles, the B tiles, and the C tiles as your timer for the game,
Yes.
a bonus tile, so that's B, is placed on the top of the B stack and is revealed at the start of the game.
Yes.
That way, while you're going through the A stack, you can try to hit the requirements of the bonus tile to get the reward listed on it. The challenge tile, hence C, is then placed on top of the C stack and is
Which
only
works for the
revealed.
ABC stack. It's just fascinating.
It only is revealed once the bonus tiles are run, or the B stack is empty, and that's when you can again attempt to reach the certain. Oh, sorry, that's when the A tiles are empty, and that's when you can attempt to reach the goal by planning for it or by allowing everyone else to focus on it, so you can focus on your own strategy.
I always feel like the bonus is always more important because it tends to be an income boost, whereas the challenge
Yes.
is always more difficult because it's a reputation boost.
Yes.
And income is just gets you money, but reputation is what gets you population. So
Hi,
you really
Mai. Hi, Mitch.
need to push reputation to keep growing.
Mhm.
Whoa, lots of things.
So
going
we
on.
have comments. Kenny teases buy a green screen.
Maybe we'll need a sponsor.
Pico mentions Suburbia, the start of the background. And he also adds, I love the secret win mechanics of board games. I recall one of the board games we had aimed for secret missions instead of playing the game. Yeah, that's the thing about board games when they use secret mechanics. They give you that little side secret that makes the game more fun. But then part of the fun is revealing later on that actually I had these as goals and you were always blocking me.
And actually, I screwed it up. I didn't hit my secret goal.
Yeah, and it's nice how that works because it doesn't extend for too long and becomes boring.
Yeah, and I guess the secret goal mechanic, it's like when in doubt, a lot of times, especially with newer players, then like, what do I do? But Suburbia, it's like, it really sprawls out and like, what should I do first? And our advice to people is always look at the goals and look at your secret goal. At the very least, that's what you're aiming for.
Yeah, and that's when you can like have the tactic of choosing two that you can work, together in one move, or choosing opposite. So even if you lose one, you still get points.
Yeah, I used to think that was smart, but then when you fight against Toby, you need every amount of points necessary. Therefore, you need a secret goal that you can achieve. So I stopped doing the whole, I get the opposite of one of the public goals.
Yeah.
Because I need every last erg of points.
And that's why
to
when
win.
we play, he always telegraphs what he knows I plan to get. To hint to the other players, oh, maybe you should get that. And I'd be like,
yeah, I like to call out people's secret goals. It's like, whoa, it looks like you're aiming to be civic minded over there. And hey, that's a lot of lakes.
now,
So
a few years after Suburbia Inc., they released Suburbia 5-star.
yeah, and initially Suburbia is a 1 to 4 player game. 5-star, true to its title, allows 5 players and makes for very, very long game nights.
Just like the earlier expansion, 5-star adds a few more bonuses and goals, adds a few more borders, But the latest thing it adds is the star element.
Stars.
The player board is now given a new expansion with extension that has stars. And as players play turns, when they buy tiles that have a star or 2 or 3 on them,
Or
that,
5.
that moves their token in terms of the star track. The star track is deviously, insidiously dangerous because if you
Yeah.
ignore it,
You are
end
going
up
to lose.
you end up being the last player on the turns. The star track determines who acts first, so it's very possible that if let's say you're in the last turn of a 3-player game, everyone moves, you do your last move, but then that move gives you the stars, so you're suddenly the first player and you move again.
Toby likes doing this a lot.
And it's an awesome strategy when you have tiles that you bought this to make something cheaper, and then now it's your turn again.
Yeah,
to
you
buy
want to get it before that. And Toby likes that double move thing. But I think more dangerous about Suburbia 5-star and the star mechanic is that there is that little rule mentioned that hey, stars break ties.
Yes.
Before you
yes.
could only break ties if you built the law office from Suburbia Inc.,
which is a building that may or may not appear.
Yes, it's a blue tile. I think it's an A stack tile. It comes out very early in the game, and all it does is that it lets you win one tie.
Yes.
Stars defy this entirely. Then
Yes.
as long as you are higher stars than that person, you will win that category if you are tied. So you must go for stars to win tie breaks. Especially there are like classic goals that we always all get stuck on, like the one where whoever spends the least investment tokens.
Yes.
Which by default, we all have 3 tokens. So if nobody invests,
everyone's tied for that.
Everyone's tied, and if you're tied, nobody wins. By bringing in stars or the law office, suddenly, boom, there's a chance to win it. And that always amazes me.
Stars also introduced. Well, no, it didn't introduce it, but it had it more prominent. Wherein you had tiles that have negative effects as more things go close to it.
Yeah,
negative reputation effects or tiles that penalize you for doing this and that.
Stars amuses me though because one, they really tried to push restaurants. There are so many restaurants in Stars that it makes having the fancy restaurant impossible, and we'll talk about that later. And then the other thing that I loved about it is like really quirky tiles, like I think it was the alien preservation, whatever, the alien sighting, that every time you cross a red line, you go back one step.
Yes.
At the end of that population increase.
Area 51 sort of.
Yeah, so there's always that chance of, hey, I cross the line, and when you cross the line, you get a penalty in income and reputation. But if you take that one step back, you negate the penalty at least for this turn. So you lose a victory point, but it's okay because you might need the income for one more turn.
My just adds must defeat Toby and Jovan in Suburbia.
Haha.
Mitch, of course, has stars. Hoo, the red line.
So at least people don't notice me if they are aiming for Toby and Jovan.
So, imagine when you're playing, you have the base game, you have ink, and you have stars, and if you mix it all together, following the rules, you can only mix a certain number of specific tiles together. You have to randomly choose and assign. That way the game still remains balanced.
Yeah.
But that in itself already had so many twists and quirks in the system to make it fun.
Yeah, for the longest time, I think we played with Suburbia Inc. and the base set permanently mixed together.
Yes.
We didn't care anymore because we could not imagine going back. 5 stars was always because it's easier to separate. Then it's a kind of juggle of, are we still going to play stars or not? Because admittedly, it blows your mind, and especially the fact that it alters turn sequence. Then you won't necessarily be just going clockwise around the board. First turn maybe you'll be like that. The moment stars come into play, suddenly it's like we have actual play order markers as stars, and to remind us that it might be me first, and then player across the table second, then Toby third, then go back across fourth.
And you have to realize the shifting of player order is again insidious because let's say you don't care about being the first player, but then your new position now determines how soon a certain tile gets cheaper.
Yes.
Because if earlier I'm the third player, so I know it'll go down 2 slots and it'll be that price, but suddenly I'm fourth. Okay, so it's now going to be super cheaper, assuming it's still there. Or worse, oh, I'm suddenly second player. It's still beyond my means.
Yeah, and there's that added quirk of the star track in itself as inherent bonuses.
Yes,
at
which
certain
tempt you
points.
to go for it.
Yeah, then I want the star rating.
Because I get that bonus as well.
Yeah, but then if I go early and someone goes to the same position, they're above me. Therefore, I'm sorry. It's like there's too many systems into it, and we can't dive into it fully. And I am amused that Mai says, "Haha, yes, Rocky suddenly the dark horse when you're focused on Toby and Japan."
So Suburbia already, as you can see with the base set and the 2 expansions, was an amazing game. The expansions, the smaller expansions they had, which were extra tiles for the convention expansion and for
Essence Spiel.
Essence Spiel expansion, were kind of stuff that we didn't think we would ever play with. We didn't expect to try to hunt them down, and
Yeah, they're a little rare, and
we
then
were thinking
they
at
were in
most
the app, so that was cool. There is a Suburbia app that's awesome.
But then they
Then
came
the collector's edition.
with the collector's
happened.
edition.
Okay. Collector's edition, and I feel like we really have to have an episode. Okay, don't hurt yourself. So higher, no. So this block is the collector's edition, which I feel like we should have a whole category of new games, which is tall games. Because look at that, that's a handspan. But all these collector's boxes aren't just wide, but they are also tall.
Mm-hmm.
The collector's edition features all expansions,
including
some of the rare ones like Essence Field,
and adds new stuff.
And has a new expansion. Nightlife was a new expansion.
Nightlife now has a lot of negative effect cards.
It's so strange
tiles.
because it's more dangerous at night, so you have all these negative points. But there are tiles like the police that flip them around, and all your negative points are positive.
Yes.
So it's tricky.
They also added other smaller expansions because of the Kickstarter. Everything from player boards that are named after specific cities.
Yeah, there's like
the new
thematic
player
cities.
colors, the new wooden tokens.
I mean, this was a super awesome upgrade. Every component is beautiful. I mean, like, we've seen a number of collector's editions, and then but this is definitely one that was super, super worth it. They really upgraded everything, wooden tokens for everything. We actually had a token error where we got 2 of the same type of token by mistake, and I emailed them, and they just shipped it over, and we got a free replacement set. Not just the one missing token.
The collector's edition also has.
Toby will continue the rest of this episode carrying the box.
Yeah, it also has a literal tower.
Yeah,
where all your tiles are placed, which then makes it tricky because now you can't really read when the B and C towers begin.
Yeah. That took away from the way that we play the game a bit, but it's okay.
They have nice player boards that allow players to be already ready to go by just grabbing the stuff in that little container.
Oh, and then it has a ridiculous LED light up first player token, which does nothing but light up. But to be fair, the first player token in the base game was just a block of wood that was shaped, that had a sticker for a building on it.
Now, cons. The art. I still like
specifically for the
art.
collector's edition.
Yes, I still like the original art. The collector's edition art is nice. It's pretty, but I guess they wanted it to look realistic, but
it's that made it functional.
That made it harder to read.
Yeah.
It made it less intuitive for the eye to grasp on a single glance. I don't think it's a matter of familiarity. I think it's because everything is...
They shrank everything.
And
the
colors.
iconography and the text shrank. The green of the green is closer to the blue.
And that just blends together.
With the gray. So there's a weird color decision there. It's still a beautiful game. We're still happy to have it. We will probably mainly only be able to play it at home because it's so hard to lug around. But for someone who loves Suburbia, it is a beautiful thing to have. And plus, it was a great way to get all the different expansions that we did not have previously.
Going through the comments real quick. Of course, Mai just goes, whoa, tiebreaker.
Yeah, and for the stars.
Jeanette says, hail. Mitch says, I only learned how the game works after playing 5 times. Jeanette asks, what buildings have we coveted the most?
Okay, it depends who you're talking to.
Yes.
So, like, one player, Urim, in case he's watching, will always go after the homeowners association. The homeowners association, to be fair, is a very powerful tile because it's you get $2. I'll just say $2. It's like 2,000, whatever. You get $2 per green tile played in the game forever.
It doesn't matter if it's yours. If it doesn't matter if it's another player.
It's any Borough. So it's a quick way to get instant money. And there's like that's always the juggle between do you manage your income, which gives you steady, slow energy over a slow currency over time, or do you get these weird tiles that if you play a certain way, you get instant money, your income doesn't change, but you have cash.
And that's what makes the homeowners association tiles so powerful because it's green, so it's all about points. So the moment you play it, you're getting points. But then it's designed to give you money as well. So the very thing that green tiles normally struggle to do, which is get money,
is solved by the homeowners association.
And lastly, it's a cheap tile.
It's a cheap
so to invest in
it happens early.
So invest in it is so easy. You can easily double that you earn 4 money every time a green tile is played.
It's super bonker.
And lastly, there's more than one.
Possibly more than one, depending on your shuffle.
You can have 2 of them, invest them then both, and now every turn, so whenever someone plays green, you get 8 money.
And they'll just keep building green. You know they're going to have a lake house in the late game. And who builds the lake house?
So with that brings us to the next popular tile. There's the choice to play tiles as a lake, which gives you instant money. But then there is that tile that makes all lakes earn more.
Waterfront Realty, which apparently in the recent Q&A with the creator, we threw in the question of like, what's your favorite tile? Apparently it's his favorite tile. And it's super awesome because it doubles the amount that you earn from lakes. And
it gives you additional 2.
Additional 2, sorry.
We have to be careful.
Yeah, they're right. Because it's not double because the border lake is 4 each. So it's an additional 2 earned per tile touching a lake.
Yes.
And it doesn't seem like much, but again, it's that philosophy of do you want cash or do you want to increase your income? And this is a cash play.
And again, it's one of those tiles which you can invest on and the money flows back in.
And it's early game. These are 8 tiles. I don't know. Personally, okay, I'll call myself out because it's always going to come up. I have an irrational love for airports. So airports are yellow tiles, industrial, that more often than not, they have a stat that will increase for the number of airports in the game. Of course, if the more airports you have, the greater the network, the more people can travel. So everybody loves airports.
Yeah. Airports has this chain effect of some airports give you bonus reputation based on the number of airports in the entire game. And some give you income based on the number of airports in the entire game.
Or give you both. Because it's
the international airports.
Yeah, because it's like local, domestic, international.
Yes.
Oh my god. So I love airports. And then it hurts me when my goal is like least yellow tiles. Like I can't get my airport.
And there is that last strange tendency for the game to spit out the goal of having the most airports.
Yes.
With all the goals that the game has, for some reason, that keeps coming up.
And a lot of times when it comes up, the shuffle of tiles will, for us in our experience, will only give us maybe 2 to 3 airports in the whole game.
Which makes you now really, really wonder every time an airport appears, is it worth ignoring?
Yeah. What are other tiles that you want to highlight?
I know that we fell in love with the casino at some point because it negated the income penalty.
Because there's the casino and there's the PR agency, PR firm, and like they're okay, but they're always super expensive. But it cancels penalties, and it depends on the goal. Sometimes it's not good. Like if your goal is miscreant, which is you must have the lowest reputation at the end of the game, then you shouldn't get the PR firm because you'll stop getting negative reputation and things like that.
And then with the collector's edition, we started finding a lot of the nightlife tiles. Remember, there was one wherein it was like the casino wherein when players do this, you get money because they're gambling in your little
So and in all honesty,
slot machines.
We have not fully. I think we haven't fully gamed out our collector's edition. We got it during the quarantine period. We definitely want to show it off to friends, but at the same time, it's hard to lug. It's even hard for us to lug it off the shelf.
Yes.
So it may still be faster to bring out the older Suburbia, but we gotta play our collector's edition. So hey,
Last thoughts.
Suburbia.
Would you consider Suburbia a game for new people who have not yet really tried board games?
As someone who has taught Suburbia many times, it is possible. I mean, it's a it's a bit of a challenge to teach, but I feel like if you have it down pat, if you can explain the income and reputation flow, then you'll be fine. And I'm super. I don't beyond comfortable teaching the game. I'm also always very happy to teach the game.
Yes.
Because I love more people playing Suburbia.
My mentions tempted now to get the Suburbia app. The app is worth it. The app adds a little campaign mode wherein
solitaire campaign.
You have specific challenges. Like you might have a challenge wherein you make your tile reach this other tile, and you only have this number of moves.
Connect all the essence field tiles together for the convention.
It's an interesting experience. It's a nice new dimension that you can try, and it's perfect considering lockdown. Jeanette mentions a conundrum. Can you read it? Sorry.
Yeah, but I thought about getting a trendy restaurant versus expensive one. So the fancy restaurant, the car dealership, and the skyscraper,
they suffer when more of that same type appear.
Yeah,
because you're no longer the
only tricky.
one.
And the restaurant one, especially once you get to, if you're playing 5-star, suddenly there's so many fast food restaurants that spring up that mess up the fancy restaurant. We have rarely seen someone get the fancy restaurant because of it, and therefore the same virtue. Very few people get the farm.
Yes,
because the farm earns income based on number of restaurants in play.
But I have seen some games where the farm play was awesome because everyone else had non-fancy restaurants.
Yeah, the fast food joints and stuff. But I think I would reserve that strategy playing 5-star.
I guess the last thing I'd like to share about Suburbia is if you ever do get a chance to play Suburbia, there is one tip I would give you, and it is not about how to play it, but it is about making sure that you play with the soundtrack to The Sims. Not the whole soundtrack.
We play with the shopping soundtrack.
The shopping soundtrack.
Especially the shopping soundtrack of Sims 1.
And if you find that, we find it.
It's on YouTube or Spotify.
Leave it on loop, and you will discover that it's such a perfect soundtrack for playing the game.
Look at it is. And I don't know, and I guess I got so used to that looping in my head from like when you first would start playing The Sims and you're designing your house.
Yes, that long length of time.
It's like
building.
2 to 3 hours just building your house, right?
And it hits that nostalgia of and the joy of building and seeing how it will work. It mixes perfectly well with the game.
So that is generally our OST for playing Suburbia. It is the shopping music from The Sims. There are great playlists of just shopping lists. There's a YouTube video which is just a loop of the one track, and that is more than enough. It's like 2.5 hours of that music.
If you don't like The Sims, you can still also choose those 1940s, 1950s similarly sounding
just
music.
Just go with The Sims.
But go for The Sims.
Sim shopping music is the best. Suburbia.
So that
30 minutes may not be enough.
That's why we love Suburbia, and that's why, despite having all the games, we still got it again.
And funnily, in case people are wondering, no, we have no plans of selling our original copy of Suburbia because, I don't know, we appreciate how weathered and well-loved it is. The only Suburbia we didn't get was that green box. The one that was like a standalone game.
Oh, yeah.
You say like, yeah, suburbs or I don't know, something.
No, I know it was Subdivision.
It
wasn't a Suburbia game, but
it's not an expansion; it's a spin-off, but it's also busier games. Yeah, so funny, but it has hexagons, so yay! All right, are you gonna hold that up?
Okay. But yeah, that's 30 minutes, and we had a lot of fun. We hope you'll join us next time.
If you have questions for us and or suggestions for future episode topics or games that you're hoping to get featured on these Monday episodes, then let us know at bit.ly Baduy Pride Ideas. You can follow us on Twitter. Somewhere here is Alto Binoche. I'm RG Sunico.
And of course, you can also check out our blog. That's at baduypride.com for previous episodes and pictures and all of the stuff about us.
And now video of Toby carrying this box. Okay. Yeah. Feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below and let us know, what are your favorite Suburbia tiles? What are your stories of Suburbia and what strategies do you keep employing? Be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is Baduy Pride.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.